Part 53. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 522. May 22nd. I System. Xianxia, I insulted my friend and offended my woman, and I will give him a profound lesson. I fight for my friends, my women. Not fighting for you. Ecchi lowered his flying sword and walked into the field, standing without a trace of fireworks. He didn't do a defensive posture, nor did he open a shield of spirit power, as if not to come to fight, but to come on vacation. My friend, you're finally here. Xianxia smiled sternly. 2 punches and a loud noise, a powerful war will suddenly rise. Be my friend, you don't deserve it. Ecchi was still tepid. Haha, it's crazy enough to build the base 3 layers, can we start? Xianxia ate in speech. His heart was already angry, and he waited for a trick to destroy the other person's stinking face. Isn't it already started? Ecchi said easily. Yun Fuzong, Li Hizi, the 3-tier building base. Ecchi said that all the disciples watching the battle were shocked, and their eyes dropped. Is this starting? You only need to build the foundation and challenge the foundation to a great success, but you do not open the shield of magic power. Do not show the magic weapon. Do you think you died not fast enough? However, the Yunfu sect was overjoyed, knowing that someone was going to play magic, as was the case with Chu Qiangguang's Howling Wolf King last time. In fact, Ecchi didn't want to use Yingwu, but wanted to test how powerful this hybrid is. At the same time, before he came over, he got Cao Guang's secret order and made him try to test the attitude of Yuan Zone. Miscellaneous Yuan Zone, Xianxia, build 10 layers of foundation. Xianxia finished his name, reminded without losing grace, Li Daiyu, I still want to remind you, don't look at me without opening a shield of magic, nor do you need 2 weapons, this is determined by our mixed Yuan Zone attack method. You do have to learn from me. You can use spiritual shields, you can also use magic tools. Then thank you for reminding me. Ecchi smiled and remained the same. Xianxia felt that he was despised, no, he was ignored. Ignored by a man 7 floors lower than himself. Xianxia's anger was accompanied by war. You are too crazy, too numb, so stupid. Well, I'll send you a big move and give you a deep lesson. Ice Department Mixed Realm. Xianxia made a move with his right hand, as in the 5 fingers hooked by eagle claws, there were countless frosts and white clouds. The white frosty air quickly enveloped the audience. The observers felt the bitter cold, and the monks were excellent at resisting heat and cold, and they would not retreat. However, there are still some gas refining minor repairs that can't resist. They backed off, not cold, but fierce murderous in the cold. Yes, it's murderous. The attack method of the ice-based mixed realm is to cover all the people's bodies with thick frost and mist, and then launch an attack. This blow is defenseless. Ecchi's eyes were filled with snowflakes, as if flying in a blizzard. The ice flakes were like a blade, sharp. But Ecchi smiled slightly. When I was practicing alchemy, I stayed with Kangbei for several months. On the sea, let the waves slap for months. You frost, it's sharp, to me, it's not enough. Enough to see later. There was a sudden place in the frost-filled sky. The frost quickly condensed, and a frosty dragon appeared. The most poisonous thing is that this frosty dragon has condensed behind Ecchi. Ecchi, there is nothing to hide. Boom. There was a sudden loud noise in the frost world. Then, shocked by this momentum, the frosty gas field burst apart, and numerous ice skates and snowflakes flew towards the sea. The spectator finally saw the situation on the field again. A huge ice sculpture appeared in the center of the site. Niu X bakes a blackbird just frozen. Wrapped with thick ice, he was frozen so hard that he couldn't even blink. Everyone outside sighed, and it seemed that the miracle had not happened. The gap between the 3 layers of foundation building and the successful completion of the foundation building cannot be bridged. One move. Just a trick. That Yun Fuzong Lihe's strength is so bad that he didn't even make a move. I really don't know what he was crazy about. Well, it's boring. I've been waiting for them for so long. Many Jadan ancestors were ready to turn around and leave. After a brief pause, some people in the mixed UN camp took the lead in shouting, Xiaofei, Xiaofei, brilliant. Sunspots, sunspots, a smelly shit. The relative response to the excitement of the mixed UN zone side is the disappointment of Yun Fuzong opposite. The disciples of Yun Fuzong did not expect that the great brothers they worshipped were even vulnerable. From their point of view, what is Brother Li's leapfrogging 7 levels? When all this happened, they were shocked, disappointed, and frustrated. Yekong's friends were also stunned. They were not assured of Yekong, but he didn't expect that he could not survive. Hey brother, Huang Zixuan shouted, trying to rush to save people. Cao Junfan, Zhang Wulin, Lan Ming, Ye Xian, at the same time took a storage bag. Go to her mother's rules, others who go to her mother can't intervene, that's their friend. Even if they die, they have to save their friends. But one person stood in front of them, Cao Muse's ancestor. Do you believe in Lihizi? Cao Mugzia paused and said loudly, trust me if you believe him. Yun Fuzong's disciples staggered, and then all shouted. Master will win. Yun Fuzong will win. In fact, Cao Muse was also terribly worried and almost rushed to save people. However, at the critical moment, she received a voice of God's consciousness from Cao Guang's ancestors, asking her not to act lightly. If Lihizi is really in danger, he will try to save others. And at this moment, it is clear that it is not the moment of danger. This time Cao Muse was relieved. Cao Guang's ancestors had been watching the battle closely. There is an ancestor of Yuan Ying, what else can Lihizi worry about? Seeing Yun Fuzong making a loud noise, Fang Xiaofia laughed. Win. Win a bird. I'll see how a dead man wins. After a few seconds, finally, it's over. Fang Daiyu, it's been a long time, I just want to feel how bullish Sun Yuan Jin is. Boom. Ice debris flew, ice sculpture cracked. Yekong was standing in front of him well, without any injuries on his body, and even the snow-white gown was not damaged at all. Appraisal is complete. Mixed UN is even weaker than the legend, it is just like a fart, except for a little movement and a little smell, it is useless. Fang Xiaofi's pupils contracted violently. He knew very well the power of the blow he had just made. Yekong carried a trick without any defensive measures, and he was not injured at all. Fang Daiyu, give me some strength. Don't use this little kid's trick anymore, I can't wait. Fang Xiaofei was about to vomit blood. He had done his best, but the other party said it was a child's move. But on the face, he still had to stand by, disappointed Li Daiyu, but just warming up just now, let's see the real mixed power. The real battle has begun. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 523. May 2-3 Ice and Fire. Fang Xiaofei stretched his arms, the war spirit soared, and all the aura around him shook. He decided to hit it with all his strength. Although he did his best just now, the real power of Han Yuan Jin was not used. Mixed element strength, two spiritual forces unfold at the same time, complement each other and cooperate with each other. This can show the power of real mixed power. Fang Xiaofei's hands spread out, and his 5 fingers drew into eagle claws. The cold chill gathered in the left hand, but the right hand was a burning fire. The frost like a blizzard twirled in the gas field again. Unlike the last time, the bottom of this blizzard has a sea of flames. Ice and fire 2 days. The ice blade is violent, and the flames are fierce. This is exactly the strength of Zhan Yuan Jin. The two kinds of spiritual forces cooperate and merge with each other. People who are not Zun Yuan Zone cannot understand how these two conflicting spiritual forces can coexist and coordinate their attacks on opponents. That's what it looks like. Ye finally gave a word of praise, but then a greater disdain came. But it's not enough for me. Ye Kong patted the storage bag, raised his hand and waved. Jian Guang appeared. Point the sword. Master is out of the sword. Yun Fuzong will win. Seeing Ye Kong's sword, all of Yun Fuzong's disciples shouted, and many disciples laughed in tears with excitement. But then, the hustle and bustle of the mixed Yuan zone also rose. Come out, get out there. Come out and go out, but come out with a Zongfei Fijian. The disciples of each sect did not pay attention, so they took a deep look and found that the Yun Fuzong Li Hizi actually only took out a Chinese flying fish sword. No, he wants to win Xiafei with this Zongfei Fijian. Those audiences who were just a little bit confident in someone, were disappointed again at this moment. It seems that Yun Fuzong is really very poor. Only the master apprentice Yuan used his Chinese-style instruments. Oops, he was a poor ghost. Yeah, the family disciples are not mixed, and they are so poor that they are not as good as us. There are a few practitioners who can't help but also degrade others. Ye Kong couldn't hear these sounds. He was staring at the ice and fire coming from his face, his pupils contracted, the upper layer was frost, and the lower layer was flame. Come on, 2 days of ice and fire, I will see how powerful, dare to be stronger than the ice and fire played by Miss Earth. The blazing fire is burning, transpiration of the entire island, there are flames everywhere, burning all the flames. Above the flame is frost, the frost that freezes everything. Coming. In the blazing flame, a flame dragon suddenly rolled up. Call. The dragon opened its mouth wide, spit out its tongue of fire, accelerated, and stormed. I won't kill you, I will burn you. Behind the dragon is Fang Xiaofei's face reflected in the ice and fire. Ice dragon and fire dragon, meet me, really not enough? Let me test the Xianxia cut-off tactics of 4 months of hard work in Shanghai. Flying fish sword shot. The Zongpan flying fish sword is not long, only 2 feet and 3 inches, has a blade on one side, picks on the tip of the sword, and has fangs like serrated teeth on the back. A flying fish sword like a large dragon-toothed dagger, cut off the frost, such as a swordfish against the current, chopping waves and piercing the fire dragon. Sword burst. Boom boom. The Zongpan flying fish sword exploded fiercely. Countless finely divided sword bodies with powerful energy and quartet lacing, this is not the strength that the fire dragon can compete with. The power of sword repair is all played in this burst. The sword is like a sword repairing the second life, breaking the sword and striking, absolutely and madly, arrogant and violent. In an instant, everyone replied clearly in front of them. The fire dragon had disappeared completely, and the frost storm was blown up, but what made the audience depressed was that the sword burst was too strong, and the countless fine powder still had powerful energy. Countless spiritual shields are open at the same time, and those who dare not open are the only ancestors. The disciples of gas refinement all flew up with their magic instruments. It's lively and beautiful, and your own safety is also important. From the outset, liveliness is also risky. Li Dai really has some means. Fang Xiaofei snorted coldly, his hands flipped quickly, and numerous seals were formed in an instant. Well, it seems that I can't hide it, let you see my strongest strength. Fang Xiaofei's law was finished, his hands were folded together, and it was launched. Double fire dragons. An ice dragon, a fire dragon, like a straight twine, are intertwined and tangled, just like a high-speed train, coming towards Ye Kong. The disciples of Zhuji who were mixed with Yuan Zone were not surprised. At first, they all wanted to fight for the title of the first person to build Zhuji. They even felt that Fang Xiaofei was only taken care of by the ancestors of Yuanying. It is only now discovered that his master has always been hiding his strength, and he has not only practiced 5 levels of mixed Yuan Jin. The spiritual power dragon is a 5-layer hybrid, but the 2 types of dual spirit dragons are already stacked. It is already a 6-layer hybrid, which is no less than the power of Jidan's ancestors. However, for such a great skill, Yekong is still a flying fish sword to solve the problem. Double ice dragons. Come again. I'll see how many flying swords you have. Fang Xiaofei hit a real fire, made a great effort, and fired 7 pairs of ice and fire dragons. Watching a burst of Zongpan Fijian, those who cursed Yekongshan ghost shut up. It's a shame, so rich. 9 flying swords burst in an instant. A minimum of 1,000 spirit stones. 9 are 9,000. God. What kind of battle is this? I've seen a spoiled spirit stone, never seen such a spoiled spirit stone. A Fuji Dan Sanchiu could not rush up and shouted, "Brother, don't explode, give me the flying sword, I will help you kill him." However, a word from Ye completely broke Fang Xiaofei and all the monks present. I have 1,300, how many more can you see? All casual repairs fainted. Rich, oh my god, she's so rich. We poor people might as well die. There are no ants of the acacia sect over there, and the madness of the madness suddenly bursts out. God, it turns out that this blackbird, who looks like a miner, is so rich that it is the first beetle in Kangnan mainland. Black brother. You are so handsome, I like dark skin, you are so manly. Another sister taunted, sister, you just said you like Xiobalian, Xiobalian is your life, and you said that the blackbird is ugly. Shut up. You know what a fart, the sister reprimanded. Little whiteface is my life, but I see rich people, I don't even have my life. Not only did everyone collapse at the scene, but even Fang Xiaofei collapsed. After firing 8 ice and fire double dragon stacks in a row, he has run out of spiritual power, and then listens to the other side with so many flying swords, he suddenly discovered that this blackbird was really unusual, and he regretted it a bit. But what regretted him more was that someone had spoken again. Well, your show time is over, it's my turn now. To the reader. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 524. 524. Wow. The audience was noisy again. Yeah, this Li Hezi hasn't attacked yet. He has never shot, he has been defending, and even the opponent has used the big move of the bottom of the box, he has not shot. God. How strong is he? Is he really building 3 bases? His last killing trick, who can see? Yekong moved after speaking, his figure floated to Fang Xiaofei, white as snow, spotless, even the offensive side. Fang Xiaofei's long shirt was burned by his own fire dragon, and Li Hezi as a defender was clean as if there was no battle. Yekong once again held a masterpiece of Chinese goods. This time no one would despise him anymore. Even if he grabbed a rice bowl, no one would dare to throw him a penny. Watching Yekong fly over, Fang Xiaofei didn't move. Just now he attacked, Yekong couldn't move, so Fang Xiaofei couldn't escape. He took out a middle-class spirit stone and waited while replenishing his spiritual power. Bring it on. I'll see how you attack. You defended my attack, but you did not defeat me. As long as I can defend your attack, we will be a tie. Unconsciously, Fang Xiaofei's mentality has changed. From killing each other to just tying a draw, but, if yes attack, can he prevent it? In the blink of an eye, Yekong stood in front of Fang Xiaofei, and with a smile, the depth of the smile was contempt. Just you, want to bully men and women, and mess with me? Sword. Yekong stretched out his hand, with a sword in his hand. There is no powerful field, not as grand as Fang Xiaofei, and even the spiritual fluctuations of the weak are not. Not all moves have such magnificent scenes, some attack, silent, but fierce. Just as the disciple of Yuan Yuanzhong wanted to laugh at this soft sword, something strange happened. I saw that the tip of the broken little sword had grass-like germination. Subsequently, 3 bright filaments grew like optical fibers, and the 3 bright white filaments grew very fast, so fast that it was unpreparable. The 2 on both sides were like orchid leaves, drawing a beautiful arc, from the sides of Fang Xiaofei's neck go through it and then not quickly. The middle one pierced Fang Xiaofei's throat straight, slowly, getting closer. It was so strange that Fang Xiaofei hadn't figured out how to defend. Too fast, Fang Xiaofei was too late to defend. Everyone around was also stunned. What was growing on this sword tip? That Fang Xiaofei had no time to hide. What evil trick is this? Is it a plant? A disciple guessed. It's impossible, there is no such plant, disciple King Minggu immediately denied. So what kind of treasure is this? Someone speculated. Immediately the refiner Zong shook his head. I haven't heard of such a treasure. Looking at the filament slowly approaching his throat, Fang Xiaofei clenched his fist nervously, and watched it getting closer. He knew that life was coming to an end, and now he didn't want to defend, he wanted to live. He didn't dare to move or run because there was a silk thread on each side of his neck. He didn't know what it was, but he knew the sharp power on that silk thread. As soon as he moved, his head fell off. He didn't move, and his throat pierced. He didn't know how to choose, all choices were dead. He regretted it, he didn't want to be famous, he wanted nothing. Master, save me, Fang Xiaofei shouted. Finally an old voice sighed, alas, useless things. Light and shadow flashed, and an old man in a black vest appeared. It is a teleport peculiar to the ancestor of the old infant. The visitor is the ancestor of the Yuan Lei Miao, who was the head of the mixed Yuan zone. Yuan was really powerful. He rubbed his hands, and a small electric current was generated in the palm. Then, he stretched out his hand and blocked Fang Xiaofei's neck. The 3 white lights were immediately blocked. The 3 white lights violently collided with the thunder and lightning in the hand of Lei Miao's ancestor, sending out a crisp crackling arc sound. The rescued Fang Xiaofei had a soft leg and was sitting on the ground in fright with dementia. Do you still want to play against the old husband? Lei Miao snorted. Yuan Ying's ancestors came out. Ye Kong was not good enough to start again, put away the sword silk, put down the small sword, respectfully said, I have seen the mixed ancestor of the ancestor, and the younger Yun Fuzong later entered Li Heze. Respectfully, Lei Miao said with a smile, you are really not easy, Cao Guang teaches well, but I don't know if the sword is silky, will he be old? The ancestors of Yuan Ying really felt bad, and when they came up, they provoked our teacher-apprentice relationship. Ye Kong smiled faintly. This is fumbled. Master respects his god, how can he be regarded as such a little trick? Listening to their conversations, although the disciples of various factions did not dare to speak out, the shock in their hearts was manifested in their eyes. God, that turned out to be the silk of the sword. A sword gas condenses into a filament. How powerful this filament should be, how sharp. There are a lot of sword chi that can be issued by the instrument, but the sword chi can be condensed into silk. The most amazing thing is that the silk of the sword is so flexible, it can draw arcs. Can still not. It's amazing. I have never heard of Xianxia turning, and Xianxia nodded, I never thought about it. This Li Heze is not an ordinary person. Everyone thought that this fight was over now. Unexpectedly, a blackbird said again, Lei Miao, let's go back and talk about it later, when the juniors solve this jerk, and then we will have a good time. Lei Miao's ancestors are going to pass out, don't you know that I am his master? Still wondering why I appeared? Is your mother's dare to entertain an old baby ancestor and be impatient alive? The ancestor of Lei Miao smiled angrily. Li Hizi, do you think that the ancestor came out and talked with you often? This ancestor came to bring Fang Xiaofei back. But we are fighting privately. Private fighting was originally not allowed by the mixed UN zone. Here, private fighting would have violated the rules, so let's not count. Lei Miao waved his hand. Your ancestor, why didn't you come out to say this when I was in a loss? Ye Kong had only been wronged at the moment. But Fang Xiaofei said nothing, and bullied others. Our 17 sects came to fight the dead Yin sect, not to receive this hybrid birdishness. Others scold their lovers in front of themselves. Lei Miao was full of displeasure, but could not attack. Then I apologized to the denominations for him. Lei Miao, I said that the audience around him admired a black man, which was too good, forcing Yun's ancestors to apologize. Niran, if we saw Yun's ancestors, they would not stand still. However, some cattle did not stop talking. Then I played against him just now and lost 9 Zongpan Fijian. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 525. Lei Miao blackmailed on May 25. 9 is not 9,000 spirit stones. Lei Miao also didn't want to provoke misunderstandings among the parties due to this little matter. He waved his hand, compensating according to the price. However, he did not expect that someone shrugged his fingers and said, my flying fish sword, Chinese quality weapon, the base price is 1,000. It comes with attributes, blood-sucking, and a price increase of 2,000. Not only that, 8 of them, but also the second one, break the defense, plus 3,000. And the sword, the junior has used it for more than 10 years, deep feelings, cannot give up. When this sword goes, the heart is very sad, so-called affection is priceless. Then add 3,000 feelings compensation, a total of 78,000 spirit stones, thanks. As soon as this word came out, everyone's eyes and jaw dropped, and everyone fainted. Selling Zongpan Fijian for this price, this kid really dared to speak. 78,000 spirit stones, oh my god, is your gold flying sword? Gold is worthless at all. A few casual practitioners lamented, talent, talent, no wonder he is so rich. According to him, more than 1,000 flying swords have burst, and he is a multi-millionaire. And Fang Xiaofei even regretted it. My heart said, shit, I banged him a few times at that time, didn't I save money? From then on, when people talked about competing with Yun Fuzong Li Hizi, someone immediately waved his hand, don't introduce. I can afford to lose. But I can't afford his high-priced sword. The ancestor of Lei Miao was so angry that he could not speak, and after a while, he pointed his finger at Ye Kong and said, well you Yun Fuzong Li Hizi, I remember you. After that, he dropped a small black bag, don't find it? Lei Miao's ancestor flew away with Fang Xiaofei. As soon as Lei Miao left, all disciples at the scene exploded. What is Bull X? This is Bull X. In front of thousands of monks in the audience, openly blackmailed the ancestors of Yuanying. Strong man, really strong, Yuanying's ancestors are the godlike existence of the Kangnan continent. Now, a 3-story building, he has openly extorted more than 70,000 spirit stones. The significance is far better than Ye Kong's victory over Fang Xiaofei. The monks at the site were boiling. They never thought that people who cultivated like themselves could be so bold. But those old ancestors shook their heads, thinking that this Li Hizi was not worth it. You offend an ancestor for the tens of thousands of spirit stones, why are you? You are too arrogant, be careful not to know how to die one day. However, they still underestimated yet. I saw someone put away the sacred stone bag, stretched out a hand, and shouted, but there are still dissatisfiers. You, dissatisfied. He was referring to the monk who was called Brother Fang Xiaofei. The guy was instantly scared, and waved, no, No, nothing at all. Then you, Yekong pointed his fingers at the other disciples of the mixed Yuan zone. Those disciples were stunned, and the ancestor of Lei Miao rescued Fang Xiaofei and spent 78,000 spirit stones. Presumably if they get there, their master can't bear to spend so many spirit stones to save them. It's still you, Yekong swiped again with his fingers towards the most fierce positions that had been mocking him just now. You can come up if you don't agree with it. Thousands of monks were present, and no one dared to interface. Yekong challenged thousands of monks with one person. In the next 100 years, they were talked about by the monks. And he dealt with all kinds of disagreeable nicknames, and then gradually began to spread. Mixed Yuan zone, the main peak of the main island. The ancestor of Lei Miao threw Fang Xiaofei into the small black room to reflect, while he hummed back to his retreat. In the face of thousands of disciples of various denominations, he was blackmailed, and this time he really lost his face. He walked into the quiet room, only to find a man in black sitting in his room. Lei Miao, you are so stupid. Why not let the black cricket kill your apprentice? The black man cursed. Why, Lei Miao murmured. The man in black said again, then you can have an excuse to break up with them in good faith. Aren't you always unable to find an excuse to get the approval of several elders from the Yuan zone? Do you really want to partner with them? Attacking the dead sect? Have you forgotten who you are? Lei Miao froze again, then angrily said, but that's my apprentice. The double roots of ice and fire are very rare. The soul of fire and ice. When we go to the Kangbei continent and get the practice exercises behind us, we are the strongest in this land. At that time, what kind of disciples are there? Lei Miao suddenly woke up and nodded, it seems that I really saved the wrong. Then he saw a murder in his eyes and sneered, but there is still a chance. At this moment, outlying islands. Yekong was surrounded by Yun Fuzong's disciples, and his face was full of joy. In the Yuan zone area, defeated the second-generation disciple of the Yuan zone, and also extorted the Yuanzong's head Yuan, the big brother is really awesome. He used to be in the Zhongli cattle, but now he has arrived in the mixed Yuan zone. Niuban Kangnan will be bound, Niu be out of this world. Hey brother, have you ever shot Lei Miao at the critical moments? So this is not the beginning, when you burst so many flying swords, did you really do it? Ready to blackmail Lei Miao? Huang Zixuan asked Yekong with admiration. That's right, brother Black, that's a clever trick, Lan Tianming laughed. Xian couldn't help but shouted, let's come, seeing you were nervous at the time, only I firmly believe that our masters will win. Don't talk nonsense, nothing is wrong with you, Cao Junfan and Zhang Wulin were really unkind. They pushed Xian apart, one left and one right, pinching Yekong, and asked with a disgusting smile, hey you, well, are you, there really are 1,300 Zongpan Fijian. Don't have more, I'll have a fraction, 400, Zhang Wulin said, patting his chest. Cao Junfan immediately followed and said, I only need 300. Blue Sky Ming also came up, give it to me, I'm not unscrupulous, 290. Get out of here, dare these boys remember this, Ye was furious and shoved all the friends away, I have to go to Kanghai to kill Swordfish myself, but I remind you, that Peng Peng the Demon King is hard to deal with. How can we have a big brother, your watch? Besides, you said, swordfish were cleaned by you and who, a few friends broke up pitifully and begged, you earn in a blink of an eye. 78,000 spirit stones. Cao Junfan even said, in the beginning, you lied to me for thousands of spirit stones. Ah, I'm really afraid of you, Yekong had no choice but to take out the spirit bag dropped by Lei Miao. Wow! Top quality spirit stone. We have never got top quality spirit stone. Hey, hey. Don't grab it, you guys, and Zixuan, keep some for me. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 526. Cao Guang's Doubts. Outlying Islands, Senate Hall. Yun Fuzong's head Yuan Ying Cao Guang was thinking with his eyes closed, and he didn't know what he was thinking. He didn't say anything for a long time, and left Ye for a while. Of course, Ye Kong didn't have time to admire the old man's Qian Ying. He murmured in his heart that today's battle can be counted. So if Ruolin notices this match, can she recognize herself? When Ye Kong thought hard, Cao Guang opened his mouth. Your sword repair is a good practice. Ye Kong knew he was going to ask this, and hurriedly replied, Master, Master. At that time, the ancestors of Wanjing in Wanjia City looked at me for helping him through the dangerous situation, so I gave them advice and taught 2 tricks. Of course, Ye Kong couldn't say that Jing Quan gave him sword skills. If Cao Guang wanted to see what to do. If Cao Guang feels good, the promotion will let all the disciples practice. It is estimated that Jing Quan will tear himself away. Cao Guang hummed, he is so kind. I heard that Jianjiu's sword tactics, after practicing, not only exclude other exercises, but also his brain becomes difficult to use. The sword idiot, they said. I'm afraid he wants to hang you with a sword trick. Cao Guang really lived for hundreds of years, and in the blink of an eye, he guessed Jing Quan's effort. Jing Quan actually used this trick at the beginning. Ye Kong hurriedly said, Master, no, Jing Quan's ancestors have modified the sword tactics, so that phenomenon will not occur. Originally, he was going to teach to the disciples of Wanjia, but I saved him at that time and he realized that the sword was won, and he was happy for a while, so he taught 2 tricks. Alas, there are only 2 tricks. Cao Guang suddenly angered, if he taught you all, wouldn't you worship the family? Don't dare, Ye Kong said with a big chest, I said suddenly. The disciples were born of Yun Fuzong, and the dead were Yun Fuzong's ghost. Even if the other schools have beautiful people like clouds and spiritual stones, the disciples I must have cheated back to enjoy it for master. Cao Guangzi laughed. You remember what you said. The disciples dare not forget. Cao Guang stretched out his hand again, well then, let the master enjoy the high-quality spirit stone you just earned. Someone is going to vomit blood, dare to wait here, you one by one. Lao Zi offended an ancestor of Yuanying, so he ransomed a few spirit stones, and even before his hands were hot, he was fattened by you. 5 points are divided, and 3 are left. Ye Kong passed 3 top-quality spirit stones. Fortunately, Cao Guang took a piece. I didn't take you for nothing. When you fight personally, I also contributed. If you are really in danger, I will try to save. This spirit stone will be the contribution of the sect, and look back, go to Muqing and get the Zongmen reward. I don't know if there are any good things about Zongmen rewards. I really want to ask the ancestors of American stocks when I look back. Cao Muking's touching buttocks are the ancestors of the US stocks. Cao Mu's are touching. That's, oh, it's evil again. Ye Kong converged, suddenly remembering that he still had 1,300 flying swords, for fear that Cao Guang would remember again, and quickly shifted the subject. Master, just now you let me begin to show weakness. What are you trying to test? Cao Guang snorted coldly, you are all so dangerous, you are frozen in the ice, but you hate that Lei Miao, but there is no movement, he is not friendly to us Yun Fuzong. Ye Kong nodded. I don't think it's just Lei Miao. Those ancestors of Dandan and Zuji are real people. I don't think they are friendly to our Yun Fuzong. The whole Yun Yuanzong doesn't seem to welcome us. Hatred. Cao Guang shook his head. If there is old revenge, it will be easy to explain, but the problem is not, this is worthy of consideration. Ye Kong Gli moved, Master Murphy suspects the mixed Yuan Zong and the dead Yin Zong. Nonsense. Cao Guang took a sigh and quickly raised his hand to lay down the soundproof restraint. Then he reprimanded, "Your kid is straightforward. Now the 18 sects form an alliance, even if you have doubts, you must keep in mind. Yuan Zone has a relationship with the dead Yin section. Lei Miao should let Fang Xiafei die." Ye Kong thought about it rightly and said, "And the last time the mixed Yuan Zone also asked the corpse Yin Zone, the damage was severe, and it didn't seem to be fake. I really didn't understand it. But I really wanted Fang Xiafei to come out with a sword. It's unhappy that they haven't killed yet." Cao Guang shouted, "Can you really kill Fang Xiafei? Is the strength of Yuan Ying's ancestors imaginable? He is willing to save Fang Xiafei. You have no chance at all. Besides, how could you sell 9 broken swords to 8? What about all spirits?" Cao Guang thought of what he said. "Well, you have 1,300. Oh. Not good. The injury that I just fought with Fang Xiafei was suddenly severe. No more. I'm going to meditate. Master, my disciple retired. Someone fled in a hurry. Those flying swords are the root of Lao Tzu's fortune. Can't give it away." Leaving the hall, Ye Kong found that it was not far from the room of Cao Muking, the ancestor of the stock market, and he said, "Hurry up and see the rewards of Zongmen. This matter is not too late." The so-called chopsticks trembled, and the fat fell into other people. "See what's good." When I came to Cao Muking, it happened that Cao Muse was here. Although one love one, sisters. But the relationship is not very good. Cao Mu is mild, always being bullied by her overbearing sister, and Cao Muking is also so. She usually does not take the initiative to find her sister. I came here today because she felt a little uneasy. When she looked at Dang Long and Feng Gong, she wanted to come to Cao Muking's treasury to get some high-end note paper, make a long-lasting centering note, and restrain that panic thoughts. It just happened that Ye Kong came. Others are afraid of Cao Muking, but he is not afraid, so he shouted outside, "Sister Cao, Mu Cheng." Cao Mose was surprised. How did this boy call his sister and sister? Although the boy's master is his uncle, but politely, he should also be called Mu Kingshi. Cao Muse turned her head and looked at her sister in doubt. Cao Muking was very arrogant and had no interest in men, so he never looked good at men, but he was not hesitant about Li Hizi. "This jerk, what is he calling? Don't be afraid that I will teach him," Cao Mu sighed angrily. But I don't know why, but her face was a little red, and her heart was a little flustered, as if it had something to do with a black man. "He and I are innocent, I like women." What a panic! Cao Mu cursed himself, and then let Ye Kong come in. Ye Kong came in and looked at them. When they saw them, he saluted Cao Muse quickly. "Meet Master, Zhang Wei is called Master, and he also calls it like this, dot. Oh, it's free, you are not injured, you really didn't expect that you can easily defeat even Monk Falstan," Cao Muse said kindly. "Oh, disciple is just a fluke." Ye Kong lowered his head and didn't dare to look at it. Although he was a little ambiguous with Cao Muse before, he is even more cautious now. He never really wanted to have Master Wu Yi. What is unknown to the reader? It will happen tomorrow, with the support of Taoists. I also recommend this book, My Younger Brother's Beggar Emperor. My younger brother's book is still very good. Xiaoman has read it, and other serial friends can go to see it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 527. May 27th Rewards. However, Cao Muking interjected, "One master and one apprentice is really affectionate, but how can I become a sister when I arrive? Is it possible that I am one generation later than your master?" Ye Kong knew that the woman had found a fault, and quickly replied, "The old sister Mu-ching is because you look young, just like the older sister." Cao Mu was unreasonable and laughed, "What do you mean, the old ancestors are older?" Ye Kong knew that she was going to ask like this, and smiled, "Muse's ancestor is younger and more beautiful than sister, but she is the master of martial arts, otherwise I really think she is a sister." Cao Mose blushed, and scolded the boy for saying anything, but it was funny. She yelled with a smile, "What kind of sister, how can you be such a boast, then if I call your brother, do I have to call Wu Yi sister-in-law?" The appearance of Cao Muse is just a beautiful woman in her 30s. This smile is really moving. It seems that spring flowers are in full bloom. The peony is completely open. The mature and beautiful charm and wind make people sway. Cao Muking was compared, and he could not help but marry, brothers and sisters, really disgusting. She was annoyed by what Cao Muse said. Although she was weak, she didn't want to be ruined by her sister. Now she replied, "Sister and brother, it seems to be more disgusting." Ye Kong fainted. How could it be as if he and his sister were in a love triangle? If the sisters receive it all, then it's not disgusting. Of course, he just thought about it and would never dare to say otherwise. The sisters Jadan had to stew themselves and eat them. "Morning ancestors, I came here to pay for the rewards of the masters. Let's do the business first, the business is the most important thing." Ye Kong quickly interrupted the two sisters who were about to quarrel. Cao Muking snorted, left her sister, and said to Ye Kong, "Come with me to the back room." Ye Kong originally thought that the warehouse was behind him. Xingxin said that Yun Fuzong had moved the warehouse here. But after going in, I found out that this is not the case. A large room behind was empty and there was a super strong defensive formation in the middle. Cao Muking put a middle-level spirit stone in his eyes, opened the array, and then carefully took out an object. "Heidi, haven't you seen it? This is our only storage ring for Yun Fuzong." Cao Mu smiled proudly. Ye Hollow Road, "What's so great? Lao Zi's storage ring is much better than you. Sister Mu Cheng." "Don't call me sister." Cao Mu was annoyed, saying that I was older than my sister, so hateful. Ye Kong hurriedly said, "Sister, don't blame me. Actually, I think you're still a little older. You think women should be young, that's for men. Sister, don't show them to men, instead, your young bigger women will like it. How many women do they like to be a smaller partner? That's what it is." Cao Muking opened up, but she just smiled and shook her head. "But I still want to be younger." Ye Kong sighed, "Cao Muking, to talk about, you are still a woman. No matter, anyway, you mustn't say that she is younger than me, you know." Cao Muking gave him a hard white look, and the autumn eyes were moving with big eyes, and it made someone panic. After Cao Muking finished speaking, she raised her hand and waved a row of shelves in the big room. "Wow, the storage ring is really good, so many things can be placed inside." Ye Kong could not help but sigh. Cao Mu smiled proudly, "This is the 5-tier storage ring. I've heard that there are 10 layers. That's the big reserve." Ye Kong fainted, and the 10-story storage ring made her so envious. "Oh my god, it's 36. Wuxing Senran and Xianxia in the Wuxingjin, what kind of Neo X characters are they?" Ye Kong's surprised expression made Cao Muking very satisfied, and she laughed, "Don't be surprised, go pick it, according to your sect contribution. The magic tools, exercises, and natural treasures, choose the same for each." Ye Kong is overjoyed, there is such a good thing in daring. Don't be vain. But this one picks someone up, and there are too many things. Purple River Sword, San K Sword, Angry Dragon Nea High Sword, Long Yin Sword, Fengming Sword, Ji Evil Tao Tian Sword, Wu Yang Hook, Sun Sword, Sky Umbrella, No Trace Cover. They are all top quality instruments, Are there any excellent ones? Yekong asked. No, the best instruments are collected by the ancestors of the ancestors, and no one will contribute to Zongmen. It's Yuan, so stingy. Do they still need to use a device? Yekong scorned a bit. The top grade is also good. You can choose it, and there are a lot of good things unconsciously. Cao Mooking's attitude towards someone has improved a lot. Yun Fuzong did not have a second man and could get her so many smiles. I won't choose the magic weapon for the time being, let me look at the exercises. Yekong came to the shelves of Gongfa again, and the jade cards were arranged neatly. Refining cultivation recipes for refining meridians, basic skills of Changchun scriptures, Acacia clan secret passage manual, Lingxiao mountain male beast and mother beast exchange experiences. These are all good, the most nonsense. There are a lot of spirits, inside are 120 questions that novices must understand, 1,000 reasons to become an immortal, the immortal and the mortal girl 800 ways. My ancestor, what's the matter with you? Yekong dropped these messy things, and it took a while to find a useful one. 18 cases of Yunfuzong Xiaopin high-level attack mantra. Yekong was immediately overjoyed. He was originally interested in the charms. After taking this, he could go back and compare it with the lower-level high-level spells in his spell book. It's even better if you have attack spells that are not in your own spell book. That's it. Yekong handed Yuchan to Cao Mooking. Cao Mooking took a moment. No, he picked up the next high-level spell system at first. Could he control it? However, she quickly dispelled this idea. First of all, she had never heard of Li He's charms. Secondly, even if he can control, he can't make high-ranking, he still makes high-ranking spells after he has become Dan. Hey, this rule stipulates that ordinary disciples can learn the charms only after they have formed the buds. Of course, you have to learn the charms, but I suggest that you don't have to be high, and learn the charms from the lower grade. Cao Mooking advice. Yekong's lower order and middle order spells are countless times more numerous than Cao Mooking's. However, he did not explain, and laughed. I just took it back first, not studying now. Those low-level and middle-level spell-making methods are easier to find. I won't waste a chance because of that, so I will take the high-level ones first. For future use. After listening to this, Cao Mooking put down her worry, and said, then go to pick the natural treasures. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 528. Good harvest. On May 28. When he came to Tiancatabao, Yekong was even more covered in clouds and fog. He didn't know what it was. He wanted to choose a high-order spirit grass seed with a charm, but a piece of black metal suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, making his eyes suddenly shine. Sister, how is this black gold stone different? Yekong asked in a pretentious manner. Why is this thing here? Cao Mooking frowned, hurried to the next, and said, this is not a black gold stone, this is a precious and invaluable material, Ujin. Don't blame you for confessing that this thing is in this world. There are too few. At first, Yuan Ying didn't recognize it. Later, I learned by chance that this is Yukin. Yekong heard the joy. It turns out that this is Yujin. Looking at Yekong's happy appearance, Cao Mooking quickly put away the piece of Wujin and said, I can't give it to you. I put it in the wrong place. This thing needs to be used, at least the Yuan and the 4 elders in the family agree. Yekong laughed, I don't want it. Others are in front of Bao. They don't use me to fart, ha 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 ha. Cao Mooking shouted, you all laughed badly, but it's no use for you. This thing is terrible. There is no magic weapon. Don't want to break it? I really don't want to, you don't even send me. Yekong is not telling lies, he doesn't want it because he already has it. The 5-element array under the original Qingming Valley, the channel where the golden-winged ants are located, is this kind of black gold on all sides. Thinking of such precious ujin, but being used as a channel, it seems that those guys are really extraordinary. At that time, Yekong burned the golden-winged ants, leaving a lot of black powder in the end. Yekong even forgot about it. Now I know that it was the Wujin he was looking for. Shenbi's golden sword. It turned out that I had almost assembled the material without knowing it, and now I only have one thing, Shenmue. Okay, I'll choose the same. Yekong pointed to the jade Cambodia in the hands of Cao Muking. Cao Muking took out a blank jade card and recorded the information before handing it to Yekong. Then she put all the shelves and items in front of her into the storage ring, and then asked, "The other denomination contributions will continue to record for you, and you can pick them up when you need a magic weapon or a treasure." Yekong shook his head and said, "Sister, I don't want to record, but I want to use the remaining Zongmen contribution value to exchange for something else." Cao Muking nodded and said, "Oh, do you want elixir? Or a spell? These can also be exchanged. I didn't think you wanted it, so I didn't take it out." Yekong laughed, No, I want blank high-end paper." No, Cao Mu was depressed. Although the lower grade high-end blank rune paper is restricted for sale, it is not too valuable. Do NT use blank rune paper for the instrument? Does this kid faint? Yes, I'm going to order high-end rune paper. Yekong originally wanted to go to the ancestors of Cao Muking's ancestors to rob him once. Now it doesn't seem to be necessary anymore. Instead, use Zongmen's contribution instead. Well then, come with me, blank note paper outside. Cao Muking came out with Yekong. Yekong also took the opportunity to admire her beautiful stocks. It was really touching. Follow her walking, as if you can see the tenderness of the tenderness, do not know how the bottom of the hand feels. Outside, Cao Muse was still waiting. When she came out, Cao Mo said with a charm on her hand, "I took two." Cao Muking nodded, and then asked Yekong, "How much do you want to change?" "All." These Cao Muking were a little surprised. She had thought that the boy would take some blank note paper to go back to experiment, but he didn't expect him to have so much. Cao Muse was also surprised and said, "Size, do you want a charm? This is a high-end note paper, can you make it?" Cao Muking rarely agreed with her sister and also said, "I don't think you should contribute Zongmen to waste. If you want some high-end charms, I can make one for you." Cao Muse was a little surprised. Her sister's psychology was not normal. Not only did she not smile at the man, but she was even hostile. How could she be so kind and take the initiative to help people make magic charms? Cao Muking ignored her and went on to say, "The contribution of Zongmen was not easy to come by, and the war is imminent. Maybe you still have important tasks. It's better to take the elixir or get the word." Yekong still shook his head and laughed, "I can defeat the fake Dan monk, I can't believe in high-grade spells. If it does NT work once, I will do it twice if it does NT work, and I will do it 10 times 100 times. Iron rods can also be ground into needles, Sister Mu Qing, do you think?" Cao Muking heard that his face was red again. What did he say? This is a hint that the thing he gave him is really awful. Well then, since you insist on it, I'll give it to you. You have a total of 200 points for the remaining martial arts, and you can exchange 200 blank runes. Yekong was overjoyed. He didn't expect Zongmen's contribution to be so valuable. You can change a blank rune note at 1 point, and 200 blank rune notes are in your hand. How many spells? This is the life-saving thing. When Yekong and Cao Muse left, Cao Muking's mood settled down. But what came to my mind was the pun intended by a blackbird just now. If it was another man, Cao Muking would definitely dismiss it as indecent, but at this moment, she felt very irritating, especially when she talked secretly in front of her sister, the kind of tension and joy in her heart, let alone mention it. Thinking of those, Cao Muking felt that her belly was 3 inches wet and hot. I like women. I don't want to be wet, I want to be hard, Cao Muking growled suddenly. Coming out of Cao Muking, Yekong entered the quiet room and began to study Yun Fuzong's higher order spells. Ye was quiet, but it was lively outside. Yun Fuzong's personal predecessor, Li Hizi, easily defeated Fang Xiaofei, and extorted the news of Lei Miao's ancestor Ba Wang Lingxi in public. The disciples of various majors, including the ancestors of Yuanying, also talked with each other. In the past few days, everyone who has heard this news is well known. The name of Li Hizi is even circulated in the 18 schools. Of course, some people are thinking. The first is that some loose repairs have wrung their heads. If you can kill Li and take away more than 1,000 flying fish swords and the 80,000 spirit stones, what a great thing, a poor self is immediately rich. However, after 2 days of investigation, they were disappointed. Mr. Li never went out. They could not rush in to grab it. I don't know who will kill who then. Others are enthusiastic about the big factions and the major Xianxian families. What they see is not Lingxi, but Li Hizi. If any martial arts recruits such a powerful monk, it is a great honor for Zongmen. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 529. Xiaofei was killed on May 29. The most important thing is that for the next trip to Kangbei, the monk builder is needed. If such a monk builder can come to his own school, then the plan of the school is in vain. Of course, directly digging people must be resentful by Yun Fuzong. Various sects inquired and heard that the black ochre was very dark. Good. Since there are flaws, there is a chance. Isn't it for women? We have. Because of this, in front of Yun Fuzong's residence, there are non-stop performances of beauty shows. Those disciples of Yun Fuzong are very enlightened. Every day when they arrive, they take a small bench to go out and watch free performances. They also give pointers and evaluate them. They are more bold and take the initiative to talk. But those women came with a purpose, except Li Hizi and other Yun Fuzong disciples, there was no chance. Nevertheless, Yun Fuzong's disciples are very good at raising their eyes. Acacia's female disciple, it was an electric eye show. The eyes did not know how to hook people, although they were all neatly dressed, but with that look, only one hook made people can't wait to pick up their clothes. The female disciple of Ling Jushan is wild show. One by one without cover, the blood of the people who saw it stretched, and they also carried lion tigers and beasts, which are simply the reality version of Beauty and the Beast. The female monks in the wild Baron Xianxian family in the west are even more direct. They are all dressed in the three-point show that has just become popular in Kangnan, and the disciples of Yun Fuzong will vomit blood. But unfortunately, Li Hizi didn't come out all the time, and their efforts were doomed. What I said just now is the relatively modest sect of the 18 sections. The strong and powerful factions like Xianxia, Qingmingwu and refining sects are indifferent to doing this kind of digging with their feet. But everyone loves it. Although the leading Yuanying, who is a famous faction, did not take any action, he still thought very much, and this had the following dialogue. O Rulan, staying in the quiet room all day is not a problem to practice. Go out and walk around more and get to know some friends, especially the leading figures of the major denominations. Yuanying's midterm monk refined his ancestors. Lian Fanchen is more than 500 years old, but it looks like a middle-aged scribe with a square face and long eyebrows and clear eyes. It can be seen that when he was young, he did not associate with women. Watching Lian Rulan not talking, Lian Fanchen said again, when your master picked you back, he took our family name for you. Although it is not biological, it is better than my own. My master and you treat it like a daughter. Lian Rulan nodded and said, I know, thank you for your upbringing. In fact, I also treat you as parents. Lian Fanchen nodded and said, "Your master closed the retreat 4 years ago and hit the infant's infant. You don't know when it will be out. You shouldn't let her worry too much." The so-called parent's life, matchmaker words. These years, although there are many up-and-comers from various denominations to come and propose to you, we all know that you are concerned about the crazy Fan Yekong, and you have rejected it. But this is 5 years. The life and death of the madman is unknown. Of course, it may not have died, but with the killing orders of the 3 major forces in Kangnan, it is estimated that he will not come out. I think you will be cut off. Think about it, your qualifications are good. In the future, it will not matter if you have a baby or a baby. You have a long life. Don't waste your life for a 5-element complex. Seeing Lian Ruolan not talking, Lian Fanchen frowned and said, "Well, I think that Li Fuzi in Yun Fuzong is not bad. He is a young man, and he defeated the great Buddhist monk of Zuji based on weakness and strength. It is a personal talent. Of course. Now, I don't just look at his strength. His cultivation is much worse than yours. What I fancy is his courage and momentum. How dare it be to build a 3-layer base and dare to blackmail an old ancestor in front of thousands of monks?" Then he challenged all the monks present with one person, but no one answered. "How strong is this? I think this person is indistinguishable from that zealot Yekong, and is a hero. Since you like the zealot like Yekong, I think this person should also have an appetite for you, so let's get in touch." At this point, Lian Ruolan looked up suddenly and said loudly, "Elder Fan Fanchen, the hero in Ruolan's heart, only Yekong is empty. Others are heroes, but they are heroes of others, not heroes in Ruolan's heart. Li Hizi is a heroic man, a personal thing, and even if he rises to the upper world, it cannot replace Yekong in Ruolan's heart. Sorry, I'm disappointed." Lian Fanchen heard the anger, and slammed the table, just about to get angry, but hurried into a person outside. "Old man, it's not good, something happened," a real person at Zuji ran in. Lian Fanchen's heart was unhappy, and he said angrily, "Why panic, say something slowly." The real person at Zuji was frightened. The old ancestors of Fanchen were very good-tempered. "What's wrong today?" He didn't dare to guess, and quickly whispered, "Yes. You asked me to stare at Yun Fuzong Li Hizi, but he never went out, but just now, suddenly a large group of mixed Yuan Zone disciples carried a body. He rushed into the Yun Fuzong resident and said that Li Hizi killed their brother Fang Xiaofei and asked Li Hizi to pay his life." "Oh? Check it out." Lian Fanchen couldn't help getting angry, and walked out. The standing Lian Ruolan was relieved, and her mouth hummed, "What Li Sunzi, can't catch up with the thief, die early." Yun Fuzong resident, outlying island. At this moment it was already full of enthusiasm and confusion, and the disciples of Yuan Zhongjuan came out of the nest and leaked water around the island. Disciples of Zhun Yuanzong shouted, "Give up the murderer Li Hizi, and justify for the master." Dense Yuan Zong disciples float in the air, and there is a huge banner plaque, "The culprit Li Hizi. Kill. Revenge for the big brother." People from other denominations did not know what was going on, and came around to watch. Monks flew around in the sky, and numerous golden notes were shot around, as if the war had arrived ahead of schedule. Soon, the gates were informed. It is said that after the war that day, Fang Xiaofei was ordered to think behind closed doors. Who would have expected, but today found his body. The mixed Yuan Zone determined that it was Li Hizi who did not kill Fang Xiaofei that day, and then killed him by surprise. And at the scene, a lot of flying fish sword fragments can be found, and even the disciple of Yuan Zone reflected that the day they heard the sound of a sword burst. Yekanlei couldn't fall out of this. Among the tens of thousands of monks, it was only him who would explode the sword. Everyone saw it in the competition that day, and he also liked the flying fish sword. Therefore, the mixed Yuan Zone determined that Li Hizi killed Fang Xiaofei, and now comes revenge. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 530. 5 or 30 Avatars. Lihiza. You bullied me too much. Brother Xianxia has lost, why did you assassinate him? Are you when we are mixing you and zone nobody? Return my master. Shouts were thundering outside. In the room, Cao Guang and Yekong nodded at each other, and they guessed something in their hearts. However, some ancestors of Jidan also complained, hey, you really, the war is imminent, unity is the most important thing, you have already taken advantage, what are you killing him for? In fact, it is not surprising that the ancestors doubted that Yekong had always been bold and embarrassed. He never spared anyone and said that it was really possible to kill him. Yekong smiled bitterly. I haven't even seen the door of the quiet room in these 5 days. How can I kill him? All the people can testify. Several old ancestors of Dandan think about it right, it seems that they did not see this guy go out, and he does not need to lie to his own. The old ancestor Jidan said to Cao Guang again, I am the old ancestor. I think this is very strange. It may be caused by the spy of the dead Yin section. I want to stir up our alliance with the mixed UN section. I let us go and explain to Lei Miao. Huh, Yekong snorted. The ancestor was still naive, could the corpse Yinzong enter the gate of the mixed UN Zhuang so easily? Silently killed Xianxia and fled? Even if it could, Yekong didn't believe it. He even believed that it was done by the mixed UN zone himself. Master, I don't think you can go out. Yekong hugged his fist. The mixed UN zone cherished speculation, all of them had no opinion of us. If their thief shouted to catch a thief, there must be a trick. If master is detained, then I will passive. Those ancestors who knew Dandan now understood Yekong's meaning, and again they all looked pale in shock. The old ancestor of Jidan again said, it's unlikely. The last time UN Zone crossed the sea to attack the dead Yin section, it was a message sent back by our hidden disciple. It will never be false, so it is impossible for them to collude with the dead sect. Another, if you say that UN Zone wants to destroy us, and get a chance to go to Kangbei alone. That is not possible, not to mention whether UN Zone has the power to destroy us. Even if it is destroyed, they are powerless and dead. The Yin Zone battle. Another ancestor said, Haze is a little bit mysterious. No matter how they dare not detain the UN, let alone deduct them. A Yuanying monk can't hold them, and there are other things. The 16 UN babies are watching. Yekong shouted, you have forgotten, what is this mixed UN zone best at? They are best at matrix formation. What kind of ancestors are they trapped in? Hey, don't talk about it. Cao Guang interrupted with a cold drink, and said, if things aren't true, everyone shouldn't be skeptical, but the war is imminent, and all the factions should be a little careful. You must all get up. The provocation of Xuanyuanzan continued until the evening, when the note of Lei Miao's ancestor came, and asked Cao Guang to go to the Xuanyuan palace to discuss the matter. Yekong quickly blocked it. In his opinion, Lei Miao did not follow the good intentions. Although Cao Guang was Yuanying, there were several Yuanyings on the other side, not to mention Cao Guang's early Yuanying. However, Cao Guang laughed, go. Of course, if you don't go, wouldn't it weaken my Yun Fuzong's name? Everyone said that Cao Guangzia was weak, and it was the most important elementary school of the 18th party school. Weak, but who knows, I have spent more than 20 years and cultivated a thing they did not have. After Cao Guang finished speaking, he raised his hand, and opened the shishi door behind him, even walking out of the same Cao Guang. This is, Yekong walked in surprise, looking at the Cao Guang. Like. It's too much. Yekongming's face, patting his head, and pulling his hair. Go. What are you doing? How can anyone be so disrespectful to master? Just come, you're not a puppet. Yekong ignored him, and he was ready to look into his crotch to see if the master had made it for him. Cao Guang hurried over to stop, and master's bird was pinched by the apprentice. No way. Cao Guang opened Yekong and said, this is not a cricket, but a division of the teacher. Incarnate outside, Yekong was startled. I didn't expect Cao Guang Kuyuanying to have an incarnation outside his body in the early days. This external incarnation is one of the magical powers unique to the Yuan infant period, and can cultivate the second Yuan infant, which is the incarnation. The benefits of incarnation outside the body are naturally many. For example, if you are fighting, you are the same person, but you can go to two because you are both. Of course, the ancestors of Yuanying will not use it this way. They will hide the incarnation in a secret place. This is the second life. Their main body is active outside, and the avatar has been practicing for a long time. If the main body hangs, there is still the avatar. However, this external incarnation is very difficult to cultivate. The most important thing is that it needs a lost baby. This is difficult. There are only a few monks in the Kangnan continent, and none of them are fuel-saving lamps. Who can you kill? And also have to catch each other's Yuanying. This is quite difficult. Yekong was still curious about this avatar, and asked, so master, which one is the real you? Cao Guang laughed, it's me, that is, both are your masters. Like your behavior just now, you will not be allowed in the future. Oh, the disciples obeyed. Yekong asked again, each of you has a brain, and you have your own ideas. Will you disagree with each other because of this? Cao Guang laughed, it won't. We can sense each other within a certain range. The thinking of both parties is shared, and only a joint effort will produce a judgment, and different ideas will not occur. Wow, that's amazing, it's equivalent to a dual-core CPU. Yekong was very envious and nodded in praise. 2 brains, 2 babies, have doubled their strength and judged an event. It seems as if I saw a beautiful woman, one has a physiological response, the other has a physiological response. Cao Guang fainted, and said angrily, what are you doing badly? Not to mention these nasty questions. No, no. Yekong quickly waved his hand. Master, I also thought about it for you. When you said that you and the sister-in-law XX, he was also sensing next to you, do you have a feeling of being peeped? Similarly, when you peep, there will be a kind of excitement, and this excitement will be transmitted to you. This master is awkward, excited, and feels peeped, but it seems to peek at others. Wow, master, it's really complicated. Cao Guang has vomited blood, and an incarnation outside of him was said to be so insignificant. This guy is really a personal talent, and it looks a bit like Muqing's girl, a male BT, a female BT. I'm complicated or not, what do you do? Originally, Ye also wanted to ask questions about 3 farts and 4 farts. Looking at Cao Guang's expression of murder, he still didn't dare to ask. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 531. May 3-1 Mixed Yuanzushan. No, I just fear he betrayed you, Yekong quickly explained. Cao Guang looked soothed and shook his head. Generally we don't. We are one person and we often share our thinking. Unless we live in a place far away from me and the environment is completely different. And I am better than him. You can control him. What about waiting for him to be better than you? Then he is in control. Anyway, it's me. Any concerns? Yekong has never had this thing, but he still feels very uncomfortable. He feels that his avatar is a puppet. If one day he is controlled by a puppet, it is not a puppet, what meaning does he have to live? Well, you haven't tried it, you can't understand. Forget it. Cao Guang waved his hand and took out a piece of armor from the storage bracelet. The incarnation outside the body immediately took it on and put it on. This armor is a magic weapon, not only defensive, but most importantly, it can prevent others from using the sky eye technique, which makes people unable to see the cultivation. This external incarnation is the result of the Keaton period. If you do not wear armor, you will inevitably be found. Well, it looks like the war is coming early, you still have to go back and prepare. Ye Kong nodded, walked out of the hall, and glanced at the disciple of Yuan sect who was still noisy outside, and then walked to his room. But on the way back, Ye Kong was stopped by a fellow. "Brother Li, just now a woman in black asked me to bring you a jade card." Oh, Ye Kong froze for a moment. Who would ask someone to bring him a jade? The same door is definitely impossible, those sisters and sisters find themselves directly. Could it be the mad bee butterfly of various schools? Ye Kong probed into God's knowledge, and frowned. It was her. The fellow student quickly asked, "Brother, no problem, although the woman looks good, but she doesn't have any sect logo, she doesn't ask her, she just knows what you see." "Oh, no problem, thank you." Ye Kong stowed Yu-chan and walked back to the quiet room. What he didn't expect was that the one who sent Yu-chan turned out to be Wang Tingshi of the Dead Yin sect. It stands to reason that at this moment the war is at hand. The two sides are hostile. How can the Corpse Yin sect mingle in the Yuan sect? It seems that the relationship between the two cases is really unusual. Tonight, under the pillar of the main peak, I look forward to meeting friends, Tingshi. Looking at such a transmission, Ye Kong meditated. Are you going or not? This is a problem. It stands to reason that she let Wang Tingshi do it once, and she didn't seem to hate herself, so there would be no problem. But can these demons croak, can they believe it? Besides, there might be someone who threatens her to set this trap for herself. Ye Kong could not have Cao Guang's incarnation. If he died, it would be dead, not to mention that with Wang Tingshi, the Corpse Yin zone, sooner or later, the two sides are enemies. But Ye Kong thought again, if Wang Tingshi had something important to say to himself? Since a woman dares to hide from the sectarian adventure, does she have the guts to listen? Fearful, how can it be a big deal? Ye has never been a timid person. I have a sword in my hand and a spell in my hand. Yuan Ying's ancestors have never been afraid of it. How can they be afraid of a woman's midnight date? Go, of course. If you abandon the dark caste, I shall treat you like a friend. If you are obsessed, I will take your life. Night, child hour. The disciples of Yuan zone around the outlying island have dispersed, but countless eyes can still be felt in the dark. There is no moon at midnight, the sea breeze is a bit strong, and tall palm trees accompanied by the sound of waves, make people sleep. Ye Kong posted a hidden charm, sneaked out of the quiet room, used flying to ascend, and flew towards the main island. Mixed Yuan zone is on the main peak of the main island, but Ye Kong did not go there, but a subalpine peak beside the main peak. I don't know the name of this mountain, but the scenery on the top of the mountain is named Kangnan, Zhuanyuanzu. When I came to the Yuan zone, I didn't look at the Yuan column, but I regret it. It is said that this column can penetrate the sky, and I don't know if it is true or false. However, the column was not blocked by the mixed Yuan zone, but was watched by others, which shows that the truth of the legend is very small. From the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain, there are 99,99 steps. Ye Kong came to the mixed Yuan zone really had not seen the mixed Yuanzu, so he was not in a hurry and climbed up the mountain on foot. At this moment, there was no one over the tall and empty layers of stone steps. The sea breeze whistled and climbed alone. There was a real urge to go straight for 9 days. This stone stairway leads straight to the top of the mountain. It is very steep. Each floor is half a foot high. The end of the stone steps is a dark sky, as if this stone steps is the road to heaven. Yekong walked for a while, already came to the mountainside and looked back. I saw countless pavilions and houses at their feet, thousands of islands at a glance, and far away, there are endless seas and territories. This mixed Yuanzu scene is really good. Yekong could not help but sigh. A word climbed up again. It was a long while ago, and when Yekong stepped on the last step, he saw a clear and graceful woman. The woman was wearing a black tulle, and she could see her with a wide bust. She was sitting cross-legged facing the steps. In front of her there was a piano stand with a mottled guqin, and there were 2 large bronze incense sticks beside the piano stand rising slowly. Behind the woman is a mixed UN column that dozens of people can't embrace. The stone column is inserted directly into the sky. The upper end of the stone column is buried deep in the clouds. Brother Li is here, sit down. Wang Tingshi saw Yekong coming, and his face was a joy, and the white shiny shells made people feel good. Well, it's been a long time. I just visited the scenery along the way. Yekong walked with a smile. I thought Brother Li was going to gather with the door to catch me at the peak, Wang Tingshi joked. Yekong also joked halfway, why gather together to kill you, I'll be enough. Wang Ting shook his head, and then smiled suddenly, if Brother Li is going to kill me in the future, I will never resist, and it is far better to die in the hands of friends than in the hands of others. Yekong also felt that his words were a bit hurtful. He changed the topic and said, Girl Wang, presumably you asked me to come here, there must be something right. If nothing happens, Li will go back. He is a rough man next, and he doesn't understand playing piano. If you play a table of mahjong, you can play with you 8 times. Wang Tingshi laughed. Brother Li laughed. Actually, I came to you, and there was something wrong. She paused before she said, I am here in a generous manner, presumably Li brother already knows something, so I advise you to leave it alone. Yekong shook his head. If the girl invited me here is the sentence, then please forgive me and say goodbye.